I don't want to exaggerate the role of the social economy in Quebec because we're all part of this big system that we're all trying to survive in and that we're trying to transform. But when I think of the more almost 3 decades of work in the social economy in Quebec, we understood, and I don't know why. It's not that we're any smarter than anyone else, but we did understand that in order to really move forward, we had to build tools, and we had to think. Now we talk about ecosystems. We didn't use that term at the time. We talked about integration, of integrating social and economic and environmental work and objectives, looking at the economy as a means and a means that we could capture by creating financial tools, by creating labor market development tools, by creating business development tools, by looking at communities and holistically. And if we fast forward and look at the social economy today, I think it's really significant that it has a very high level of credibility and legitimacy in Quebec society, and that it is not only seen as as something that is tangential or marginal or residual. The social economy is considered as part of the economy as a whole in Quebec. And that doesn't mean complicity with economic power, but it means that you're taken very seriously and that you're seen as capable of generating wealth, but wealth defined according to well-being and greater equality, greater social justice, environmental well-being, and so on. But I think what we've learned over the years is how to be very strategic and how important it is to be at the table with major players and to be taken seriously and to be able to negotiate place in the economic discourse. And we've achieved that. And I don't think that's a very small thing. And it's not surprising that other countries, other parts of the world, other parts of Canada have looked to Quebec to try to understand how that happened. How that happened, I mean, there's many ingredients. It's difficult. There wasn't a formula. Nobody designed a recipe or a formula as to how to get there. I think it was just a really good mix of being grounded in progressive politics, but being extremely pragmatic and strategic, and knowing that the ultimate goal was to be able to have as much of the economy inside the social economy responding to collective needs and hopes and desires and fears as possible. And in order to do that, we couldn't build this wall between what we were doing and what mainstream economic actors were doing and what government was doing. So that is not, some would argue and say, well, that's co-optation. I think that's just, an easy reaction that doesn't pay attention to the importance of being really pragmatic. It means never abandoning fundamental values and goals, but also working in a very clever and intelligent fashion, knowing that there's a big world that you have to operate in and that you want to have a place in that world, and to be able to take is perhaps not, or capture, capture as much of the economy as possible. So if we look at the social economy in Quebec today, it's present in all sectors, from daycare to home care to high tech, low tech. In many ways, it's a parallel economy. It works It works with communities. It's very grounded and rooted in community. It represents a very significant percentage of the GNP of Quebec. It's almost 10%. Now, obviously we'd like it to be more than that, but that's not insignificant. It represents roughly 250,000 jobs, which is quite significant. And it's made inroads into areas that the mainstream economy has left behind. So, we talk about inclusive economies now and leave no one behind. I mean, these are all, these are all expressions that are used that, to us, speak loud and clear because it's what and I'm saying we because I've worked very closely with actors in the social economy for several decades. I mean, it's what we've been committed to all along. Now, of course, these have become buzzwords that are used sometimes in a very empty fashion as political buzzwords. But what we have to do is jump in and say, well, we've been doing this. If you want to learn how, join us. We have lessons that we can share. So our work over the years has been really very much a systemic integrated approach, that rather than have all these initiatives scattered, which are really important and they are the heart of the social economy, how do you make sure that you network, that you mobilize, that you create spaces that have political credibility so you have voice? So I think it's really a story of pragmatism, of being very, very strategic, of being subversive, but in a different form, of being subversive by being able to work inside the cracks of the mainstream economy and inside the cracks of government. I think that's been a major achievement.